Good afternoon, one and all. So, welcome you all for the webinar on neuroscience of cancer and immortality by Dr. Mayur Kaku. We have Dr. Mayur Kaku. He's a consultant neurosurgeon with HCG, and he has done MCH neurosurgery and gold medalist from NIMHANS Bangalore. He's an expert neurosurgeon who is specialized in minimally invasive brain and spine surgeries, also fellowship in endoscopy neurosurgery and trained for radio neurosurgery. And in addition to that, he is a certified yoga therapist and believe in combining Eastern healing and Western medicine practices for the ultimate benefit of the patients. So we have with us, and he's going to share his scientific spiritual discussion based on case needs. So we welcome you and over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinod. Namaste. So today's topic is a bit offbeat, neuroscience of cancer and immortality. We are all, the whole world is going through a different time. We had heard about epidemics, pandemics, and all these things which have been happening and which have been recorded since a few hundred years ago. But the things which we are going through because of our own direct experience, we are finding many things. One of the most important thing which we found is that the concept of health as such suddenly changed towards preventive measures. Suddenly, the importance of public health came into existence. And as super specialists and specialists in our own subjects, many a times because of intense practice of treating a particular patient, treating a particular disease, treating a particular system, we generally zoom in so much that we forget the larger picture. I have been practicing yoga since my childhood, and during my medical education and practice, I found many a times the effect of yoga into my practice. Also, over a period of last 8 years, I have been treating my patients with yoga in terms of spine care, in terms of brain tumor care, and there are many patients who seek help for routine diseases like osteoarthritis, diabetes, hypertension, etc. as well. So today we will discuss my specialty, that is neuro-oncology, and our eternal question, that is immortality. This lecture happened because of one of my patients came into some kind of spiritual stress, and we had to discuss some spiritual matter to convince her and to educate her about the reality or to improve the reality of both the people, that is doctor and the patient. I had to create this lecture. This lecture was a spontaneous conversation, following which I presented this in front of many other patients, because there are many questions which come to patients, cancer patients especially, that have to be answered. One most important thing, my Professor Sampath sir, my neurosurgery guru, used to tell that, Mayur, we need to learn till our last breath. We learn till our last breath. Now, what to learn? That is most important. Sometimes it is very, very important that we need to unlearn also, or else sometimes we need to learn from various branches and various incidents of our lives. So this lecture is one of the experiences which I went through when I was treating my patient. Coming to one of the most important definition, that is immortality. First, I will define life. Life is a condition which distinguishes the living creatures from inorganic matter. There should be a capacity for growing. The organism has to reproduce. There should be functional activity within the organism. And there should be a continual changing process which is happening before the organism subsides. Now, it means that the organism reaches to a point of death. What is death? Death is nothing but the cessation of biological functions that sustain a living organism. All of us, we, some point in our lives, we think that we should live forever. That is nothing but immortality. That is what is almost everybody's wish, but that does not happen. Now, this wish or this desire can create some sort of changes in our biological functions. That is the basis of somewhere, that is the basis of cancer as well. I will explain this in detail as we progress into this lecture. Now, she is the patient. She is 44-year-old lady. When she presented to us, she presented in post-ictal state because of a lesion on the right side of the brain directly on the motor cortex. This is the motor cortex on the left side. On the right side, we are not able to see the motor cortex because there is a cystic lesion sitting over there. And when she became conscious after giving antiepileptics and giving anti-edema measures, she had monoplegia. That is, she was not able to move her right leg. This is the scan after surgery. You can see after surgery the tumor is removed completely. It came as lung carcinoma. Now this is the patient after 3 days of surgery.
ಇವಾಗ ಫೋಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕಾಲು ಫೋಲ್ಡ್ ಒಂದ್ ಕಾಲು ಹಿಂಗೆ ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಬೇರೆ ಕಾಲು ಫೋಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್ ಇವಾಗ ಪಾದ ಹೆಬ್ಬಟ್ಟು ಆಡಿಸಿ ಆ ಕಾಲು ಓಕೆ
And she did well. I had an interview with her because when she came, she was unconscious and we had to do the surgery immediately because she had monoplegia. So we did not have time. I routinely give pre-surgery yoga practices, but as we did not have time, we took her for surgery, and then after surgical excision, I asked her to perform yoga and she became angry on me. I will come to this question and why she became angry. I will come to this question. I will answer that. Before that, I will show one more patient. This is Cauda equina ependymoma. You can see the tumor here, and I did a hemilaminectomy and removed the tumor completely. When patient came, he had multiple deficits, Cauda equina syndrome. After surgery on day 2, he is like this.
You can start.
My name is Dilip Kumar, and I had a tumor in T12 and D1 region because
D12 and L1 region.
T12 and L1 region.
Uh-huh.
Because of that, I was not able to move my right side part of the legs. I was getting pain in the thigh part, and I was my movements were very less in left thumb as well. And after surgery, movements are good now.
Can you show me? Can you demonstrate the movements of your?
Yes.
He came with foot drop. Here, rest of the video is here on this side.
Can you show me the movements?
Yes, sir.
Can you show both the soles of the feet? Yeah, move. Yes. Was this happening previously?
No, sir. Movements were less. Now it has improvised.
How much improvement you are feeling in the movement?
No, 70% improvement.
70% improvement. And what about the sensations? The pain in the leg and the thigh region?
Pain has reduced. Only pain is the surgery reason I'm getting it pain.
Okay. Otherwise, you are feeling better. Okay. Thank you.
As you can see, he is a young man, 28 years old, and you can make out from his face that he does not have any bad habits. He did not have any bad habits. No smoking, no drinking, and vegetarian. He had one question to me that, sir, why did this happen to me? This question is generally asked by many people who do not have any bad habits. This question was asked to me by that lady who was 44 years with lung carcinoma metastasis. And because of that, I had to create these slides and explain her that this is how we have tendency to develop cancer. Another thing, interesting thing about that lady was that she was a practitioner and a teacher of yoga for 27 years. And that is why when she got this lung cancer and paralysis at 44 years of age, she was totally broken and devastated. She told me, sir, yoga did not help me. Yoga is useless. This behavior and this attitude, I felt very much depressed after listening to all these things, because I also have been practicing yoga since my childhood. Approximately almost 30 years are over that I am practicing yoga. So I felt depressed, and I asked my parents, I asked my grandparents, and I asked my gurus that what is this? Why this kind of betrayal? And we had some fruitful discussions over which I understood, and I presented some few scientific things also and some aspects of spirituality behind this. And as we will understand, these all things have been understood by our ancestors almost 5,000 years ago as well. So let us discuss and see. All of us know that there was origin of life approximately 3.8 billion years ago on this planet. The Earth was formed 4.5 billion years back, and the Big Bang had happened 15 billion years ago. So what does it mean? The process of formation of Earth, solar system, and all these things took 10 billion years. We can't wait for even 2 minutes, and the systems were forming over a period of billions of years. When the Earth established itself as a globe, it took a long time for it to cool down. That is from 4.5 billion years to 3.8 billion years. That is approximately a period of 0.7 billion years. It means that huge amount of time spent for the Earth to have a solid crust. Not only solid crust, oceans formed. And when oceans formed, there was the bed for the life to get created. And it took approximately 0.7 billion years for the first fossil hint of life to come on this planet. As we know, the initial periods were very extensively drastic. There were volcanic eruptions, there were huge cyclones, there were so many asteroids and so many heavenly bodies hitting the planet. And if you might be knowing, the Earth was spinning at a very faster rate. The day and night cycle was just 6 hours. Over a period of time, the speed of rotation has slowed down 12 hours, 18 hours, and then 24 hours now. So it means that the speed of rotation of Earth is slowing down. Coming to this slide, we know that oceans formed at this point, and then at this point, first fossil evidence of life, which I already explained. So how all these things were happening? There was inorganic chemistry. Through inorganic chemistry, various complex compounds started forming, and then through them, organic compounds started forming, which contain predominantly carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and through which slowly RNAs were formed, ribonucleic acids, and through which, when it was wrapped around with some kind of amino acids, proteins, and carbohydrates, slowly the first cellular evidence came into the existence. Now, we knew that if anything has to be alive, it should have a capacity to first grow, it should be functional, it should have capacity to reproduce, and it should be changing continuously. So the first cell had that capacity to divide, to multiply. From 1 it became 2, from 2 it became 4, and so on and so forth. So it means that there is an innate desire in a single cell to multiply and replicate itself and keep a copy so that it fulfills the criteria of being alive. Okay? Now, this event is an accident. It was not planned. We plan. We human beings, we plan all experiments and all clinical trials and all these things. We plan. But whatever happens to us is an accident. Nobody knew that this corona is going to hit us. Nobody knew. There were predictions in 2007, 2009. There were some papers saying that the human and animal interaction, which is happening frequently because of deforestation and industrialization, there will be a time when there will be a global pandemic that was predicted 13 years back. But nobody knew that it will happen. Nobody could predict it. It means that whatever happens, the things which happen are generally accidental. The life on this planet also was accidental. Accidentally, it could happen on Mars also, it could happen on Pluto also. But it happened here because we had some conducive environment. What was that? The distance between Sun and Earth was optimal. The kind of chemicals which were present on this planet were optimal. The kind of temperature we have was optimal. Because of that, because of the solar energy, the cells started getting the energy and creating it into the carbohydrates, proteins, and slowly different kinds of chemicals got evolved, and the cells started becoming more and more complex, and through which, as you know, we evolved from single cell organism to multiple cell organism to aquatic animals to plants and then animals, terrestrial animals, and then now we as human being, collection of trillions of cells. Okay, so the photosynthesis was one of the most important events in further evolution and diversifying of the lives. As I explained, we do not have any control over lightning, over eruption of volcanoes, over earthquakes, and over extreme weather conditions. We all know that we can predict this, but we can't control these. We can contain the damage, but we cannot prevent them. Correct? Because we live on a planet which has a heavenly size, which is huge in size as compared to what our size is. That is why we can enjoy analyzing these things, but we cannot enjoy the effects of what these things bring to us. And these kind of accidents continuously happen within our body as well. What is this? This is cancer. Now, normal cell looks like this. Normal cell looks like this, and cancer cells look like these. Cancer cells are nothing but accidents which have happened in the genetic makeup of the cell, and because of which there are some permanent changes which happen, which make them continuously dividing, continuously disorganized, varied size and shape, loss of normal features, and the nuclei have altogether different composition. Now, as you know, the question asked to them, through them to me, was whether the cancer happened because of me being smoker or drinker, or not being a smoker, not being a drinker did not help me. So I would like to say you all that the events like cancer have happened and have been documented even in a 255 million years old fossil called as Gorgonopsian fossil, and this is an example of odontoma in that fossil. This Gorgonopsian animal is a very ancient ancestor to us, 255 million years old. So it means that at that time there was no environmental pollution, there were no stress factors, there was no addiction as such. But yes, we can consider that environment might have the toxic gases naturally produced. That is a possibility. But yeah, he had this animal had odontoma. This is 1.7 million years old osteogenic sarcoma in our ancestors monkeys. So it means that, and if this osteogenic sarcoma is there here, it means that this animal lived to see this osteogenic sarcoma. Okay. So there was cancer, but there was no HCG. So this raises the question, even without pollution or modern lifestyle, cancer is possible. Yes, that is what we are here to discuss. It means that the innate nature of the cell is to divide and replicate. So because of millions of years of evolution, we got a system in place which is called as immune system, and because of which the cells which are not having good quality, atypical cells, or the cells which have carcinogenic capacity, are all destroyed each and every second within our body by our immune system. It is a highly organized system and it destroys very efficiently. Even in my body right now, millions of atypical cells are being produced and the immunity is wiping it off every second. So it means that when the immunity gets hampered, we all know that when the immunity gets hampered, we not only get infections, but also the atypical cells will start multiplying and can cause cancer. Now, just as a part of understanding, when a tree does not have healthy roots, the tree will fall down, the tree will collapse, and tree will die. Same way, when the immune system in our body is not strong, we are exposed to many different kinds of diseases. So what hampers the immunity, what damages the immunity is repeated inflammation, stress factors, diet related problems, toxins, lack of sleep, interpersonal relationship problems, toxic thoughts, repeated trauma, genetic predisposition as we all know, and poor digestion. Now for genetic predisposition, we are just in the process of research and we are finding out many gene therapies and all these things, but there are many controllable factors which we can change and which can improve our life, which can improve our health. So hormone imbalances, thyroid disease, these all diseases happen including cancer because of impaired immunity, which can be because of physical stress, mental stress, and in my patient's case, it was spiritual stress. Now, what is that spiritual stress? We all have that spiritual stress because we all think of becoming immortal. Some people think of it more. Because of that only, they fear the death more. Many a times, the question of yoga arises because people want to have healthy lifestyle, not because they want to have healthy lifestyle, because they want to not have cancer, not have heart disease, not have hypertension. So one place intention is affirmative and other place the intention is to escape or to run away from negative things. So these are two different things. So now this one question arises, what do we bother about more? Do we bother about heart attack more or do we bother about cancer more? Or do we fear cancer or do we fear heart attack? Now as we all see in cancer patients, they continuously fear about they have cancer, they have cancer, they have cancer. But we all are at risk of heart attack as well. And actually the events of heart attack happen more commonly than incidences of cancer. But we do not bother. heart attack, the risk factors are obesity, hypertension, diabetes, stress, all these things are there. But do we ever come and ask the doctors? No. We generally do not bother about lifestyle modifications. As doctors, we tell patients, but the patients generally don't listen to us. They want a medicine, they want a tablet, and they want a shortcut basically. Nobody wants to follow the path which will lead to long-term health benefits. Same about road traffic accidents and cancer. There are more events of road traffic accidents than cancer. Cancer has a modifiable risk factor, that is tobacco or something else, which the patients don't bother over there. In the road traffic accidents also can be prevented by our vigilant driving, our way of driving. So many things can be modified. Not using mobile, not using chatting while driving. All these things can be done, but people ignore, and you see it that continuously on the roads, many people ignore their own health, and then when things happen, the easiest person to blame is doctor. So these things are very, very important. Until and unless, if the doctors are listening here, until and unless we put the things into perspective to our patients, they will never understand that they are the first and the most important persons responsible for their disease and responsible for the management of their health. This is one of the most important messages I try to convey through all the practices, through all the holistic practices I perform with my patients, so that they understand that health is not only the responsibility of doctor towards the patient, but it's the patient who has to be responsible for his or her own health. And we also should not take too much of stress of treating any patient. We should not take to the ego of treating the patients to the end. We should make them also participants in their own health care. Now, I will come to the neuroscience aspect of it. This is a kind of ancient neuroscience. Neuroscience is always ancient, I feel, because it is the brain which has worked more in human beings than other animals, and that is how we are separated. I will just give you an example. All the animals fear, that is called as bhaya in Sanskrit. All the animals eat, that is ahara. All the animals reproduce, that is called as maithuna. And then all the animals sleep, that is called as nidra. Okay. This is there in human beings also, bhaya, ahara, nidra, maithuna. But we have something extra which other animals lack in quantity. They also have. Now and then we see on National Geographic or some other viral videos that a crocodile left alone a pregnant deer, or a wolf, mother wolf is feeding a koala bear when the Australian bushfire had happened. It means that they also have compassion, empathy. So the ultimate goal of developing this fifth virtue or fifth feature is viveka. We all have viveka, and this viveka helps us to be selfless and serving to others, or to be able to help others, to be able to provide support to others. Now, but what happens is, we have the limbic brain, we have that brain which responds to the reflex. So that is what I am trying to project through this slide. If you see this kind of material in slight amount of darkness, you will suspect that this is a snake. It might have happened many a times to all of us, that we might assume that this is any kind of a serpent, or a similar kind of illusion might have happened to all of us. But when we switch on the light, or when we go close and see with proper amount of safety precautions, and when we come to know that, oh, this was just a rope, then we feel that how stupid we were. It means that for viveka, we need time to interpret and we need a perspective to interpret whatever is in front of our eyes, or whatever we hear, or whatever we feel. All the sensations have to be understood in a proper manner. Same thing happens with so many of us when we assume things about others, when we hearsay. Means hearsay is there, oh, that person is good, that person is not good. We just continue to listen to the crap. Same thing happens with the news channels, same thing happens with the politicians, and so on and so forth. Nobody of us has that perfect vision. Because of so much of overloading of information, we have an illusionary state of mind. As doctors, we need to slow down, we need to understand, and we need to provide not only ourselves a proper perspective, but also the perspective to our patients. Coming down to this. So from fear, potential fear, illusion of fear, to bravery. Now you see, this is a ringmaster in a circus. These animals, when we see these animals, we will fear until and unless they are in cage. If we find them in front of us without any weapon, we will have the highest amount of fear in our life. But as we see, this person is smiling, enjoying and presenting these animals like they are the part of circus. Correct? So it means that when the perspective and training changes, we can create wonders around us. This is what is importance of trying to acquire and continuously learn till the last breath. So this is the practice and practical implementation. I don't say that we have to become ring masters, but we have to become masters of our own brain. Then only we can become masters of others. At the same time, because we have mastered the Viveka, which I was discussing a few minutes ago, we can help our patients to have more and more Viveka about themselves. Through that, we can help them to improve their quality of life as much as possible without taking too much of responsibility of their treatment, making them the partner in their own healthcare. So, exactly what happens? When the diagnosis happened, fear was there. But after the diagnosis, what happens? Once, suppose, for example, cancer is diagnosed, what happens after the cancer is diagnosed? Here there is a GIF, a famous GIF of cricketers, two cricketers not able to catch the ball because one fellow thought that other is catching, other fellow thought that he is catching. Okay. So here you can see what happens. The patient versus relatives. Relatives start putting unnecessary comments, sometimes out of concern only, most of the times. But many a times what happens is that they are not able to interpret the things, because the diseases which we treat have been studied for hundreds of years, and the information is being researched and reproduced. All these things are happening, but relatives have a very small amount of knowledge through Google, and that is why they will misguide. See here, the misguidance is happening. Assumptions are happening. Because of assumption, the kind of problem has arisen. The players are not able to catch the ball. Same with the patient. There are some predictable responses, there are some unpredictable responses from the patient. Like some patients become restless, some patients become silent because of their way of responding to the news of diagnosis. Some patients, they enjoy the pain. Some patients, they start, relieving themselves of all the things and start enjoying their lives to the fullest. And where they may overdo the things as well. Some people, they are sure of their own methodologies of treatment. Some people are not, and because of which they take multiple opinions. And we as doctors, many times because of our practices, we give, because of our experience, we give different kinds of opinions, and the patient gets more confused. There are some good aspects of it, there are some bad aspects of it. There are some rational decisions which are made, there are some irrational decisions which are made. So as doctors, it is our role to first stabilize ourselves, have an open mind to all the kinds of treatments, one, to involve the patient more and more so that they are able to catch the ball without getting confused. So exactly what is happening? Our mind is there, intellect, memory, whatever we can call it as, that is the Viveka, or in another way it is called as Ichha Shakti, the desire to do things. We get the knowledge, that is the Gnana Shakti, through our senses, that is our eyes, ears, smell, taste and touch. These are called as Gnanendriyas. They give input to the mind. Now, if these are receiving wrong information, what is going to happen? Wrong action is going to come. If these are given right information, the right action can come. But at the same time, this also holds a very important role where if the training is good, the output will come good. If the training is not good, the output may not be as expected. So our role as doctors is to provide right information to the patient and motivate them, because motivation is a very important aspect of treatment, where if they are motivated, we see the variation in survival of many cancer patients. Books write 1 to 1.5 years, some patients might be surviving 8 years, 10 years, 20 years. These are not exceptions. These are the cases whose minds need to be studied. I have one example of my glioma patient whom I had operated long back, and he is surviving for last 7 years. I asked him, it was a glioblastoma. I asked him, sir, what is the reason? Then he tells that, sir, I have forgotten that I have cancer. And he continues to take treatment, continues to do the required scans regularly, routinely, according to the protocol. So there is one word that he has forgotten, he has removed from his memory, because memory, if we know that memory, good memories create different kinds of emotions, bad memories create different kinds of emotions. And we see the level of energy on person's face, whether this is a good memory or this is a bad memory. So there are physical manifestations because of the sense organs. So those sense organs are through our speech, through our hands, through our legs, and the genitals and the gastrointestinal system. We all know that there is a link between frequency of bowel along with the stress. There are some people who respond to stress in the form of constipation. There are some people who respond to stress in the form of diarrhea. We all know that. And that is how the role of control of mind, the role of evolution of the mind, the role of choosing which memory to keep and which memory to lose comes. That is where the neuroscientific approach to these kind of patients come. Now coming to some neurobiochemistry and neurophysiology of how immunity works. We all know that once the sensory organs, they give information to the brain, the processing happens, and ultimately the response comes through pituitary and hypothalamus. The memory is stored in the hippocampus, that also has a role in stimulating the pituitary and hypothalamus. We know the memory circuit, hypothalamus is a part of it, and through which ACTH, cytokines, all these things are released, and other neuronal pathways are also stimulated, because of which other glands also get stimulated, glucocorticoids are released, and immune response is developed to either any pathology or inflammation, or through the stress also. That is why if this machinery is overworking, the mental part, the memory part, or the intellect part is overworking, this hormonal system will continue to overwork, and because of this overworking, the immune system will get exhausted. When it gets exhausted, it will no longer be efficient. We all know that in football playing, they have to have break, correct? They can't play for 90 minutes throughout. So they need a half time. Same way, our body also needs rest, and because of which we sleep and then we recover. Many a times, because of our lifestyle changes, because of our work culture, we are not giving importance to sleep. And deprivation of sleep is now being discovered as one of the important risk factors for cancer, as well as many other lifestyle related disorders, diabetes, hypertension, and so on and so forth. Okay. Here we can see the effect of same diagram. Now once again coming back to my patient, because the story of science and spirituality has to combine. So this patient, as we had discussed in the beginning, that she recovered from the monoplasia
fold ಮಾಡಿ ಕಾಲು
because of the metastasis.
fold one ಕಾಲು ಹಿಂಗೆ very good straight ಮಾಡಿ
I will tell you
ಬೇರೆ ಕಾಲು fold ಮಾಡಿ
what I explained to her exactly.
ಇವಾಗ ಪಾದ ಹೆಬ್ಬಟ್ಟು ಹಾಡಿಸಿ
I explained to her through this example. I told Amma, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ mobile ಇದೆಯಾ? You have mobile. She told yes, I have mobile. Then I asked her, which mobile do you have? So obviously nowadays everybody has these kind of mobiles, touch screen mobiles. And when we started using mobile, we had this kind of mobiles, correct? The mobiles with various digits and number keys were there. These are all touch screen mobiles. So now I asked her one very simple question. Can we put the software of this mobile into this mobile? She told no, sir. Then I asked her that why not? And she told that this mobile does not have enough capacity to store what this mobile has. So it means that our body actually is like a mobile, correct? Hardware. And our mind is like the software or the Android or iOS system or any other system which is stored within that hardware. Now, if we want a better software to come, and get installed, we need at the same time better hardware, correct? We cannot install a good software in this mobile, correct? We need a better hardware as well. Same way, when we are progressing in yogic journey, she was a teacher, yoga teacher for 27 years. When we are in a yogic journey, we need to improve our hardware continuously so that we improve our software as well. Now there are some yogic practices which focus on dhyana, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, which focus on mental practices more. It means that they are focusing more on software part, and the hardware is getting refined by yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara. Pratyahara is actually basically at the junction of the Bahiranga yoga. Bahiranga means the external appearance, that is hardware yoga, and dharana, dhyana, samadhi are antaranga yoga. So pratyahara comes at the junction of both. It is a physical as well as mental practice. So I explained, she already knew Ashtanga yoga. This is called as Ashtanga yoga. She already knew Ashtanga yoga. Then I explained her that, see Amma, you understand that mobile is the one which requires a good hardware for good software to load. Same way, our body is the hardware. For our mind to get that state of samadhi, we need healthy body as well. That is why practice of yoga is to be started in young age rather than starting at old age, because by that time already the hardware slightly becomes outdated. I don't say that the hardware will not improve, but it will take some time, it will take some efforts, and it requires proper guidance and proper direction to improve the hardware at that time. And many a times we are egoistic and we want quick results, so we do some things more desperately and we injure ourselves, and through that we tell yoga is useless, but it is not so. Now in her case, now I will tell you that another aspect of mobile this thing, if we force the software of this into this mobile, what is going to happen? The integrated circuit or the small wires of those mobile, it will short circuit. That mobile hardware also will get heated up. You know that when too much of software is working in the background, the mobile gets heated up, the laptops get heated up, any system gets heated up. And when it gets heated up, we know that because of voltage fluctuation, what will happen? There will be short circuit and there will be destruction of something. That is what happens when yoga is not practiced sequentially. If we try to focus too much on the end point, too much on improving the software, we are overrunning the hardware. That is what happened with her. That is my hypothesis, and that is what the literature says, the yogic literature says, that when we practice in such a way, we skip the steps. We know in our medicine also we know that when we skip the steps, we escalate the doses too much pharmacologically, or else we skip the steps in surgery, we lead to disaster, correct? So stepwise work is everywhere important. As we know in medicine and surgery, same way in yoga, stepwise work is very, very important. That is where, because she was focusing too much about samadhi and she had left most of the asana pranayama practice, that is why somewhere she suffered through lung cancer. There is just one of the hypotheses. There is just one of the discussion for a person who was disturbed and had lost faith in yoga, and it is a logical discussion somewhere. I feel that all of you might be agreeing with me, and that is why sequential progress is important. Like this, there are many other patients which I have treated, and this patient had a metastasis. If you see, it was partial seizures, and she had a paralysis, hemiplegia after surgery.
वापस होगी
Completely 15 days later.
ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸತ್ಯ ಮುಂದೆ ಬನ್ನಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹೆಸರೇನು?
ಶಶಿಕಲಾ ದೇವಿ.
The healing rates are faster. The patients, they enjoy doing things, and they improve, and they get that responsibility of their own health. And many a times I have got messages from my patients that, sir, I am feeling far better. Sir, you told this and I did this, and I found peace and I found health in practicing yoga. This is one more example, a huge cerebellopontine angle tumor. This was a medulloblastoma. I removed it completely. This is immediate post-op surgery video. I don't want to. This is what is the patient after surgery.
Actually, he
had hearing loss. He had also come. That's why I could not bring test.
But after surgery, now he is able to hear himself.
But after surgery,
Okay. Because it was sort of emergency, we were not able to do the audiometry test. But I had done a clinical examination, and you were the witness to it.
Yes.
Correct? And you are also a nursing staff.
Yes, I am in the nursing field.
Yes, you are in nursing faculty, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So can you just tell that what we did, and can you repeat that same thing? Yeah. Close your eyes. आपका आंखें बंद कीजिए. हाँ. Now she will demonstrate us the clinical examination of the hearing. Okay. हाँ. Which side you are able to hear? Raise the finger. Yes, very nice. Now.
I operated on the left side.
Which side you are? Ah, very nice. Excellent. You can open your eyes. Very good.
This is a bedside manner
So-
of doing these things.
After surgery, you are able to hear. What are the other improvements which have happened after surgery?
He is able to walk. Before surgery, he was not able to walk.
Can you walk and show us? आप चल के दिखाएंगे? खुद से चल के दिखाइए आप. खुद से चल के दिखाइए. बहुत अच्छे. आप ये ऑपरेशन के पहले चल पा रहे थे क्या ऐसे? नहीं, क्या हो रहा था ऑपरेशन के पहले?
Because of cerebellar symptoms, he was wheelchair bound.
चक्कर आ रहा था.
हाँ हाँ.
गिरने मतलब he was about to fall down.
Okay, he was having loss of balance.
Loss of balance.
Loss of balance while walking.
Yes.
Now it is not at all there. दोनों हाथ ऊपर उठाइए. Yes, दोनों हाथ नीचे करिए. Show me march past. Like this. Yes. Yes. Very nice. Excellent. You can give a small smile. Smile. E.
No,
Smile
but-
कीजिए. E. Smile
no,
करके
but
दिखाओ.
no,
Okay. ऐसे करो. E E E करो E. दोनों दोनों E करो ऐसे. उठाना है उठाओ. हाँ. ऐसे आंखें ऊपर करो. हाँ. Okay. ऐसे करो ऐसे. हाँ. So his facial is also preserved on the left side. Operation का जगह दिखाओ. Operation का जगह दिखाओ. Turn हो जाओ. हाँ. Okay. This is his operation site.
What I have found is that
Thank you.
the practice of yoga,
Thank you.
patients have very less wound-related complications and swellings. They recover very fast, and the amount of hospital stay is also less. This is one more patient who had come in a very complicated state because of some infection which had happened following a laryngeal cancer surgery. It was done by the ENT surgeon, and laryngeal cancer surgery, following which you can see here some collection, subdural collection. I could not access it through anteriorly because it was a robotic surgery, and following which there was a loss of plane and there was not much space for retraction.
ಕೈ ಮೇಲೆ ಮಾಡಿ.
And you can see the
Male
patient
ಮಾಡಿ,
peel off.
ಈ ಕೈ ಮೇಲೆ ಮಾಡಿ. ಎರಡು ಕೈ ಮೇಲೆ ಮಾಡಿ. ಯಾಕೆ ಇದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ? ನೀವು ಬಿಡಿ.
You can see he was in a very miserable state.
ಮೇಲೆ ಮಾಡಿ. ಯಾಕೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ? ಹಾ?
This is immediate post-op
ಕೈ
surgery.
ಮಾಡಿ.
I went anteriorly. I wanted to do actually 360 degree fusion.
ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಮುಂಚೆಗಿಂತ
Anteriorly
ಕೆಳಗಡೆ
we
ಮಾಡಿ.
did not have access.
ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಮುಂಚೆಗಿಂತ
So I went
ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ
posteriorly
ಏನೇನು
and just
ಚೇಂಜಸ್
did
ಇದೆ?
laminectomy and transpedicular screw fixation. This is
ಇಲ್ಲ
immediate.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಇದು ಕತ್ತದು ಆಪರೇಷನ್.
And after 4 months with the practice of yoga, you can see what kind of changes have happened.
ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹೆಸರೇನು?
He already started riding his bike
ಯಾವಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಆಯ್ತು?
generally, and I was not able to remove the collection because of not able to maneuver much in this case.
ಜೂನ್ 9ಗೆ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಓಕೆ. ಏನು ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ?
ಹಿಂಗಡೆ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಪೇನ್.
ಹಾ, ಸ್ಪೈನ್ ಆಪರೇಷನ್. ಹಾ ಹಾ. ಅದು ಲೆರಿಂಜಿಯಲ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ. ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಗೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ನಿಮ್ದು ಕೈ ಮೇಲೆ ಇಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಾ ನೀವು?
ಹಾ, ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಇಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ ಆಯ್ತು.
ಹಾ, ಮತ್ತೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಪೈನ್ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ?
ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಈ ಎಕ್ಸರ್ಸೈಸ್ ಅದು ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾನು ವರ್ಕ್ ಎಲ್ಲ
Talking
ಹಾ ಹಾ.
about grand exercise.
ಇವಾಗ ಕೈ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಇದನ್ನು ಕೈ ಮೇಲೆ ಮಾಡಿ. ಹಾ. ಓಕೆ, ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ಇವಾಗ ಏನೇನ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ನೀವು 4 ತಿಂಗಳಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ?
ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಕೆಲಸನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ.
ಏನ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಅಂದ್ರೆ?
ನೀರ್ ಎತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋದು,
ಓಕೆ.
ಗಾಡಿ ಹಾಕೋದು,
ಹಾ ಹಾ.
He started doing all the works, all,
ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು,
including bike riding.
ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್.
ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ
ಗಾಡಿ ಓಡಿಸ್ತಿದ್ರಾ?
ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಗಾಡಿ 2 ವೀಲರ್ ಓಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ.
2 ವೀಲರ್ ಓಡಿಸ್ತಿದ್ರಾ?
ಓಡೋದು.
ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ದು ಗಾಯ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ.
So this is where we have to give that responsibility to them, where we can tell them, okay, please, you do yourself, explore yourself in a proper understanding manner under safety precautions. That is how a patient who has been operated is able to ride also with proper safety. So I am at almost at the end of my presentation. Here you can see a girl, African girl from Nigeria, I had operated her for ependymoma, and
This is only sheer
we,
happiness.
we need all our patients to be like this.
Gabby, say hi.
Gabby, hi.
Say hi.
See, if we are able to bring
How
that
long it has been since?
forgetfulness about the disease, if we are able to
It's
bring
about a
that
month.
happiness and
Great,
understanding
Gabby.
in
When
them,
are you going
this
home?
child does not
When are
have
you going back?
understanding, so she is
Next month.
happy.
So you're
Does not
enjoying
know what
India.
is ependymoma. Sometimes
You're not enjoying India.
Yes.
You want to enjoy Nigeria. Okay. All the best, Gabby.
This is the photo of her, which her mother sent in this new year. You can see her hair has grown longer, and she is doing quite well. She is going to school. She is doing everything very well, and it is almost 1.5 years since she has been operated now. So she is doing good. So these are some of the examples of great sages like Ramana Maharshi, Ramakrishna Paramahansa. They all were great. They had achieved that state of nirvana, samadhi, but they had cancer. Ramana Maharshi had bone cancer, and Ramakrishna Paramahansa, many of you might be knowing that he had laryngeal cancer. Somewhere in the practice, they lost the physical culture. That is what I feel. It is not because it is not a criticism. It is a wish that if these great divine souls who gave us enormous knowledge, who provided a lot of important knowledge about our own existence, about spirituality to all of us, if they could have stayed longer with us, there could have been greater benefit to the society. So whenever we all start seeking spirituality, my humble request to all is that we should maintain the physical culture, and for maintaining the physical culture also, we should not be greedy or we should not be desperate. We should be systematic, we should learn from the scratch, and we should provide ourselves a very good base for later on to develop our mental peace and mental happiness in the form of samadhi also. So I would like to end with this sloka, that is Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. What does it mean? It means that please, you take us from unreality to reality, from darkness to light, and from death to immortality. Because this is one of the most famous Sanskrit shloka for identifying ourselves seeking immortality. So what is that about immortality? It is basically initial sentences are showing that the immortality does not lie in the physical self. The immortality lies within our own understanding. That understanding is this, that maybe we all are the parts of single consciousness. See, we all started life 3.8 billion years ago in the form of a single cell. That cell was conscious. That is why it wanted to multiply, correct? So consciousness had a single, it was a single entity to begin with. But as we started, the multiplication started, many cells started happening and many kinds of cells started happening. That is what we are. We have neurons, we have red blood cells, we have white blood cells, we have gastrointestinal cells, we have skin cells. There are many different kinds of cells in our body. But we try to identify ourselves as one. That is, my identity is Mayur. I am Mayur. But in addition to that, this Mayur, the cells of the Mayur, are also derived from a very common single source of consciousness 3.8 billion years ago. It means that all of us, some people are sitting here, Vinod is sitting here. The cells of the Vinod also have the same ancestors as mine. It means that we somewhere are all derived from a single consciousness. The day we understand this, we understand this is a part of cosmic consciousness, the single consciousness. That is what is mentioned in Vedas also, that Aham Brahmasmi means I am the whole universe. That feeling itself, if you try to absorb it not intellectually, but in the form of realizing it in some manner, by visiting natural places, by helping others selflessly without an intention of getting something back from them, that is where we gain that one step towards Amrutam Gamaya. With that understanding, I thank you all for listening patiently.